Okay, the reason that I asked that question, and I don't know if anyone's comment on that question, but since I brought up the question, I at least want to, because I have a concern over the task. I believe that there is a need of the task force for this to happen. But the concern I have of the implementation of how that task force is going to come about is based on what I see might be happening already, where, for example, Save Our Pools have done so much work and all of this other thing, you know, all of this other stuff occurred with Weston and Sampson without including the work that's been done by the community. My concern is, how is that process going to affect this whole choosing of the task force, and how does that come about? If that even happens, I don't even know if that's going to happen. But if it were to happen, where a task force was going to be implemented, how is it that some of the community members that are involved, deeply involved already in a lot of the research and a lot of the work that has been done, are going to be, you know, invited to be part of that task force?
So I'm gonna actually flag that as an ongoing concern. Okay. So Reverend Encarnacion, I hear you, and thank you for that. I'm just the facilitator, so I apologize in advance for cutting anybody off. But I want everybody to really know what the Reverend is saying, because we do have to pay attention that our community is involved in all of the process. Okay. So we've been involved in the hearings. We're talking about this task force. When that comes about, and it is my personal fervent hope that it does, we need to watch that we also are included. Okay, and that's real, because as the Reverend Sarai Rivera said, our voices have not always been heard. Our voices have not always been felt to be heard, so we got to go forward in a new direction. I'm going to go to Manny Gines, and then I'm going to go to Gary Rosen and Jen Solon. That's it.
And you've been skipping.
Oh, sorry.
I wanted to say,
I saw you.
Doesn't have nothing to do with really a question. It's just a thought and an experience that I had in Brooklyn, New York. That's where I grew up, and we had a swimming pool there called Sunset Pool in Bay Ridge. And the lifeguards there had problems with kids jumping over the fence, sneaking in, breaking bottles in the pool, and stuff like that. And the lieutenant, what he did was, he seen the neighborhood kids, and we were the ones doing all that stuff. And he came to us and he said, "You want to be a lifeguard when you grow up?" And we was like, "Yeah." I said, "Okay, we'll just show swimming classes, we're going to get swimming classes. And once you pass the test, we're going to make you a junior lifeguard. So as soon as you're 17, you go take the test and become a lifeguard." All of us signed up, became junior lifeguards, and we wasn't even getting paid for it. And we was always patrolling the swimming pool, and nothing ever happened in the swimming pool. This is the thought that we can do something, you know, in the future like that.
Thank you. I'm going to go Councilor Rosen, Jen Solon, and Tunisi.
It's a question for two pool experts.
Thank you.
When you hear suggestions tonight that by next year we should try to install 5 pools, and the suggestion is that on average it would be about $1 million each to do this. In your experience, how accurate do you think that $1 million figure is? How practical, how reliable is that?
Sounds high to me.
Pardon me?
Sounds high.
It sounds high. I mean, you're saying that it could be possibly done. You've seen one pool, a quick cruise outside of Beaverbrook. You're saying that it could cost less than $1 million?
Yeah.
So
In some of the pools that it all depends on, you know, the different size and square footage that you want and that sort of thing. One of those pools that I was passing around we've done hundreds of YMCA's, and one of the Ys it was 200,000 plus the plate features. You know, you got a little bit more money because you have demolition and stuff like that. But it all depends. You know, it might be a little higher up here with the wages and stuff like that. But $1 million, you can get a nice pool for $1 million.
A long ways from $1 million. The other thing is too is that you got to remember this: when you're buying slides and spray paints and stuff like that, when you're buying it for wholesale, because you have a person that's saying, "Hey, you know, his equipment's $150,000, the pool contractor's charging $250,000 for it. The slide is $50,000, they're charging $100,000." Boy, that's a fast, doesn't it? When you're willing to say, "Hey, this is a great project, work for the community," you get things back to these projects. You don't have to go out and try to retire on one project. As a company, you go into these areas, publicity's great, You get a lot of people calling you. You're doing something good. You feel good about. By bringing a guy in like Mark to draw you, you're probably talking 100,000 in prints a month. They're gonna do it for nothing.
You can hire a pool consultant to come in and do what we can do for you, free of
So
charge.
you've seen pools similar to Beaver Brook, rebuilt for less than $500,000?
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. It all depends on exactly what you plan on doing with the pool too. If you plan on ripping it out and everything else, you can still put a nice pool in there. I'll tell you, one of the pools that I ran the renovation service department down in the southeast for 5 years as well. And they had a pool like that as well, okay? I don't know exactly what your shell is like, okay? Because when you start going back 40 years and you start looking at the walls, but I had a pool roughly like that. This pool in Montreat, North Carolina, was about 6,200 square feet. What I did is I went in and I ripped off the wall where the skimmers are. So I ripped off the top wall. I came in and put a stainless steel gutter around the perimeters, got rid of all the floor returns, and they must have had 150 of them. So you can just picture 150 returns coming up through the floor, all the piping. So I got rid of all the piping, all the skimmer lines and everything else. Came in, patched the cracks, replastered it. And you got a pool there that's going to be there, new equipment. The pool's going to be there for another 30
What's the
years.
cost of that about ballpark?
I think it was around 4 something, but that's not including that or demo, you know. But it all depends, and I can't say exactly about the pool that's next door or any other ones if you can do it on each and every one. There were some spots on that wall, because normally the walls are 8 inches, right? 6 to 8? 12. It depends
Well,
on-
we do 12 now.
Okay.
We do 12 inches. They could be 8.
The wall back in Montreat that was 40, 50 years old was approximately, in spots, 4 inches. Wasn't mine, you know, so you never know what you're going to get into. Okay, but we made it work.
I want to put Jen's soul in because I'm conscious of time.
So I really want to acknowledge, kind of build off what Reverend Encarnacion and Jose was speaking to. I just really want to acknowledge this amazing group that has put this together, the Save Our Pools force. It's like so moving, you know. I got in here, I was like so proud to be, you know, from and living in this city. So at first I just really want to give you guys like. Go with this too is like I'm gonna go home tonight, right? And I want to know, okay, what's next? Like, are we gonna have the task force? Are we gonna have the 9 pools? How are all these people gonna be involved in this process? People who spent like hundreds of hours and not slept, done this like willingly to create this for our city, you know, and for the future generations. So I want to know, like, the counselors who are here, like, what's next? What are you going to do to link this together to make it so that we can cause this? Because, I mean, and just thank you so much for coming up here and being a part of our community. And it's tremendous. So, because I don't want to go home and think, oh, you know, we're going to be in the face of no agreement, or, oh, we can't do that, that's too hard, or, you know, like, I want to know, like, that there's a commitment and that you see possibility here. So what's, like, next? Like, what can we create? Counselors who are here? Anyone?
I can answer a question for you a little bit. I think what the next thing is, obviously, on our perspective, we need to go look at your pools. Obviously, you know, they've been sitting, they're here. We need to go look at them. I can get with Mark. We can put some ideas together, some thoughts, what we think you can do. We can give you situation A, situation B, situation C, and just say we can do A, B, or C. We can do a cost breakdown on this. We'll try to get this to you as soon as we can. Once we get it to Save Our Pools, you have the city council that can look at it. We're more than happy to come and do whatever we can do throughout the process of this. Again, it's a great thing to be belonging to. I appreciate being here, and I'm glad to be here for you people. But that's what we need to do, and we will do that and start putting some stuff together.